Thoughts on football. Aaron Rodgers has told the Steelers, other NFL teams, he's made some personal commitments. Apparently, one of those commitments was watching the Kentucky Derby. Rodgers has yet to decide his NFL future, but it appears that if he does play, it'll be for the Steelers, whose starting quarterback position is still unresolved. That's why we bring in our NFL insider, Jeremy Fowler. He's here with us to give us some insight. So Pittsburgh's still waiting, obviously, on Aaron Rodgers. But then George Pickens' name, it was thrown around in some maybe possible trade discussions before the draft. I know my Cowboys supposedly inquired. What more can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so George Pickens, his name was bantered around at the trade deadline or around the NFL draft. I'm told trade talks have really cooled here and that George Pickens, despite giving it some thought about a possible home elsewhere, he does want to stay in Pittsburgh. He feels a loyalty to Mike Tomlin, wants to make this work. He's in a contract year, so I never sensed any sort of major momentum here. Keep in mind, the Steelers are in a position where they need to keep that receiver room as attractive as possible for that man you saw at the Kentucky Derby. Aaron Rodgers not yet signed, so they're not really in the business of trading off capable pieces right now that he could potentially be throwing to. So my sense right now is that the Steelers remain optimistic, like they have been, about Rodgers eventually signing with Pittsburgh, but it's his first foray into free agency in his 20-year career. Still feels like anything can happen, but right now it is status quo with the Steelers and Rodgers. Okay, let's stay in the AFC. Let's stay in that division, by the way, because the Bengals, you know, they draft defensive end Shamar Stewart there, and it's some people said maybe that's an end of Trey Hendrickson in his era there in Cincinnati. What can you tell us about there? Yeah, they still want Trey, but this is at a contract stalemate a little bit. Both sides are just sort of waiting this out post-draft. They got a few months to try to shake out a long-term extension that Hendrickson certainly deserves after being a huge sack producer the last few years. So the Bengals want to get this done. Certainly they've made a commitment to trying to do it, but they have not made enough progress right now where a deal is imminent. But there's really not a lot of trade buzz here either. It sounds like he's going to be able to stay there, but they do have to get this done if they want him in the building playing games for them. And you got Jalen Ramsey. So Miami has been calling around on Ramsey, trying to work a potential trade. They were doing so in the days leading up to the NFL draft. So something could shake out here this offseason. I'm told Ramsey does want to play for a contender, so he wouldn't just go to any team considering his age, his pedigree as a Super Bowl winner. The sticking point here is that $24 million in guarantees. My sense after asking around is Miami has not been overly eager to cover some of that bill, which sort of makes a trade hard to pull off right now. L.A. Rams, it could be a reunion here. They've been in the mix here. They are a team to watch, certainly, for Ramsey. All right, that's our Jeremy Fowler.
But there's also more work for other teams to do. Are we pointing at the Fowler? This is time for the Fowler Files. There's a lot of work for a lot of teams to do right at this point in the offseason, kind of, as we creep closer and closer to minicamp and all the other things. Let's start with Micah Parsons and the Dallas Cowboys, though. What's the latest? Yeah, Shay, I'm told the Dallas Cowboys have not yet ramped up negotiations with Micah Parsons and his agent. That doesn't mean that they will not. They are budgeting for that. They want to keep Parsons long term. They do have a penchant for signing their star players. It just takes a little while. Last year, Dak Prescott didn't get his deal done until September 8th, right before the season. CeeDee Lamb, late August. So they could certainly draw this out, but they know what the price tag is, $40 million per year for a player of his caliber, so they're going to save that money, although they could spend a little bit to add a receiver in free agency. Amari Cooper, I'm told there is at least some mutual interest in bringing him back. And next we got Trey Hendrickson with the Bengals, so we're out of the draft. There really isn't a lot of buzz right now about Hendrickson being traded. It seems like it's contract extension or bust for the Bengals. They want to do this as well, but this is really a stalemate. Both sides are sort of waiting this out. We'll see what gives. And they have to do something because Hendrickson will assuredly miss offseason workouts without a deal. Could even miss some training camp or game action. We'll see how that goes. But he is dug in, I'm told. And you got George Pickens. So coming out of the draft, there was a little bit of smoke, a little bit of trade chatter about them potentially moving Pickens. But right now I'm told that they're going to go forward with the offseason program, and Pickens wants to be with the Steelers. He's in a contract year. He's most likely not getting a new deal with that team. That money went to DK Metcalf. He feels a loyalty to Mike Tomlin, so he wants to make it work. And the Steelers are not in the business of shipping out good receivers right now because they're trying to woo one Aaron Rodgers. So we know that the Steelers remain optimistic from what I'm hearing. Nothing has really changed on that front, but there's no hard update about him signing with the team or anything imminent right now. But at least they should have Pickens in the fold, DK Metcalf, et cetera, for Rodgers when or if he does sign. Yeah, it's great to have all these receivers. Who's throwing them the ball, though? Right now, the current Steelers quarterback room, Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and Skylar Thompson. We'll see about Aaron Rodgers, right? We'll reopen the Fowler file.
2025. We got that Jets logo there. He's currently on the market. Who wants him? Well, the Steelers seem to be the team. Yet, is he actually going to play? Because You saw him on McAfee. He said, I've got some personal things to deal with.
Yep.
I'll tell you this. He told the Giants and the Steelers straight up, I have no timetable. If you want to move on, you can move on. The Giants, they opted to pivot. They went with Russell Wilson and of course, Jameis Winston, and now a rookie. Steelers, Will Howard's the only new quarterback they added. He's a 6th round pick. 2, we got the schedule release, May 14th. It's a couple Wednesdays from now. And I want to see who the Eagles open up with. This, to me, is an interesting one. The NFL usually will pit the teams that they think are going to be relevant at the end of the season. The Eagles schedule some of the teams that they could play at home. Well, the Rams, the Lions, the Bears, and how about the Raiders? Some interesting teams that they could possibly do. And, of course, the entire NFC East is a possibility. Who deserves that prime billing of that Thursday night game? My third one's an interesting one. James Cook. You're like, James Cook? Yeah, we know. Josh Allen's the MVP. A lot of running backs got paid this offseason, including Saquon getting a renegotiated deal that will make him the highest paid running back in the league. James Cook was unbelievable last year. He's entering the final year of his contract. His agent and him have publicly said they want more than $15 million. The Bills have scoffed at that number. James Cook is an amazing player. Awesome, and was huge in that AFC Championship game. They need him. Let's take our thing. The last one is this. I go Shedeur, but it's really the Browns quarterback room. Like, I don't know if they can do Hard Knocks because of all the rules, but I would love to just have a camera on all of these names. Now, look, Deshaun Watson, he's going to be paid $46 million to not play. Must be nice. Then you got Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, who was drafted before Shedeur in the 3rd round, and then Shedeur Sanders. I'm curious, how does it work out in minicamp? How does it work out in training camp? And then when we get to week 1 with the Cleveland Browns, who is under center?
And that's your 2 minutes. Peter Schrager, a professional, breaking things down this morning on SportsCenter. Schrags, fantastic to see you, man. Thanks.
Is over with. Let's kind of just clear up some of the remaining storylines that are floating around the NFL as we kind of move on to this off period here. We have Kirk Cousins and his future, which looks like, there are still quite a bit of question marks there. George Kittle signed a massive new extension today with the San Francisco 49ers. And then anything else you have, just kind of as we put a bow on draft week and move forward here.
Well, great question. I think one of the more interesting things that came out of draft weekend were all the trades that didn't happen. We didn't get a trade of Dallas Goedert. We didn't get a trade of Trey Hendrickson. We didn't get a trade of Jair Alexander. We didn't get a lot of players traded. The only veteran traded during the draft was Sam Howell, who almost knocked Aaron Rodgers out of any potential remaining consideration with the Minnesota Vikings, because Sam Howell winds up in Minnesota. He's there with J.J. McCarthy. The Vikings have filled their quarterback opening that was created when Sam Darnold went to Seattle and Daniel Jones went to Indianapolis. So Minnesota has filled that spot. As for George Kittle, he gets that deal done with the 49ers, 4 years, $76.4 million. And